So, I'm here in Glascarrig, County Wexford. And who do I have in front of me at all?
May Murphy.
May Murphy.
And Statia Redmond.
And Statia Redmond.
Yes.
Now, you're two sisters, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And where were you two born?
Well, I was born in Clonavon. My sister was
born in Ballygarrett, in Killeen.
And you were Redmonds before you were married?
Yes.
Yes, and I was a Redmond when I got married. I didn't change my name. Yeah.
So you married a Redmond?
I married a Redmond.
And you married a Murphy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you moved down, that's what brought you down to Glascarrig?
Yeah.
And then what brought you up to Killeen?
Yeah.
Yeah. And where were you reared, women?
Where
were you
I
reared?
was reared in Clonavon with Granny until I was 12. And I went to Ballygarrett then.
Yeah.
And I used to
Ballygarrett
go.
was the home place.
Ballygarrett was the home place. You see, my grandmother wouldn't let me out of the house because I was born there. That's the way it was that time. So that's why I was born in Clonavon.
The eldest child usually was with the grandmother.
Yeah, with the grandmother.
Yeah.
The grandmother claim, you see. Yeah.
That was common enough, wasn't it?
Oh, it was back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened the same with my own grandmother. When Kathleen had one of them, one of the little lads,
Yeah.
years with Granny, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granny didn't want to let him go.
Yeah.
But it nearly broke her heart to let him go.
I did,
Yeah.
because they were lonely.
Yeah.
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 And how many of you were in the family?
3.
Three.
Yeah.
Oh,
Three,
yeah.
three girls.
3 girls. What was the other woman's name?
Katie,
Katie.
Kathleen.
Kathleen.
She died in 1952. She was only 17.
Ah, sorry to hear
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And was she buried here in Dunmore, Ballygarrett?
Ardemine.
Ardemine. Oh, good Lord. So you're the 2 girls surviving? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you married a Redmond?
Yeah.
And there were loads of Redmonds around here, weren't there?
Oh, loads of Redmonds.
There was
Yeah.
5 Redmonds in Ballygarrett when we were young. 5 families of Redmonds.
That's right.
There was Din Redmond, Pat Redmond, Ballygarrett Upper,
There were
our
two Pat
daddy,
Redmonds, yeah.
2 Pat Redmond, Sally Redmond,
That's right.
Mm.
Yeah. And they were all around in a circle.
in
like.
a circle,
Yeah.
yeah. And Dick Redmond,
And Dick Redmond, that's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
3 Redmonds joining nearly one another on
Yeah.
the same road, and Din Redmond was on the Moor Road, they called it.
Yeah.
And Sally was in the house near Statia's, where Ann Doyle and Pat are now.
Mm.
That was Sally's house.
That's right.
And were they related?
No relations at all with the
No.
Redmonds. Oh, then Pat and Dean, they were brothers.
They
all
were
right.
brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the others weren't. It was
Yeah.
Dick and my father and
And-
Sally.
And
Yeah.
in order for the postman, Pat Redmond down below us was Ballygarrett Lower, and our place was Ballygarrett Upper.
Yeah. So that's how the postman
That's-
was able to know the
Yeah,
different,
you know, the two
the different
Pats.
places.
The 2 Pats.
Yeah.
And did you come across it? Because I remember Granny telling me this. Say there be people with the same name, they take on a bit of a nickname to be big.
I was called Babby.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and I was called Mazo by a fella that used to mean the grannies. And of course, when I got older and was going to school, I gave up answering them because I was called Babby. He said, you should call me May or I won't answer yes. And that's how I got the Babby name off of me. Only for that I would have stuck.
Oh,
Like
yeah, sure would, yeah.
the Ballycanoe girl, Babby,
That's right.
Babby Redmond, Babby
Babby Kavanagh, yeah.
Yeah,
Babby
yeah.
O'Brien.
Babby O'Brien.
But
Yeah.
your,
Oh, Woodsteak.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
your daddy's sister was called Babs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Babs Fortune.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oxford.
How's
And
that?
sure. Yeah.
Is she still alive? Is
No, she
Martha?
died back in, let's say nearly 20 years now.
Oh, is she?
And she would have got the name probably the same as well, like for Babs.
Yeah,
Yeah. Bab, yeah.
yeah, Babs.
Did you ever come across an old, when there were so many Redmonds, one would be called Long Jim and the other one would be called Red Pat? Or
Oh,
Well,
yeah, it would have been, but there were none of them called with their nicknames
No,
or
Daddy
anything.
had no nickname, but the other man was Black Pat.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he was called Black Pat.
Yeah, because his hair was darker than
Distinguished.
Daddy's.
So they're on the same road, the two Redmonds, like. 3 Redmonds.
Yeah.
Dick Redmond and Pat Redmond just lived a few yards down from our gateway.
And the two of them were from just across the road from each other,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now Dick Redmond was a Ballygarrett man, and he was in the First World War.
That's right, he was in
And
the
was a
army.
great, he had an awful temper, all right, but he got that from being out in the First World War. They came back, they weren't the same men after the troubles in the war. Remember John Kingsley
That's
was
right.
shell-shocked,
No, that was Tom.
or
Tom
Tom?
Kinsley. Tom
Yeah.
had lost an arm in the army.
Yeah.
Oh, God love him, he was...
He was out in the war too,
Yeah.
sure.
and he'd be out on the road, he had 3 cows.
Yeah.
And he herded the cows on the road, he had them graze along the sides of the roads. And maybe he'd be going up to Ballygarrett or something on the bicycle, and he'd always got the paper every day. So he'd tell you to bring the paper, and of course if you forgot it, or he'd curse the head off you when you
Yeah.
come home that you forgot the paper.
Yeah.
yeah. But there was
Didn't matter what you were
imagine,
doing.
and there was no cars that time on the road, they could keep the cows on it, you see.
Yeah.
And of course there was no tar roads either, they were
No.
all potholes and yeah.
what was that man's name?
Tom
Tom
Kingsley.
Kinsley. He was in the army too during the wars and yeah.
He lived in a house just past Statia's up to Killeen.
It's
It
a
was a
derelict, it's a
two-up.
derelict house now.
Yeah.
It's
2
nearly-
up and 2 down.
Yeah.
That's before you come to the cottage with the roof, like the ones in Ballygarrett. The one Statia lives in. And that was Hannah Bryan's home.
Yeah,
So it was just away from there, like.
yeah.
And
I
from
forgot it.
Hannah.
It's derelict now, you wouldn't hardly see the house at all, it's
No,
overgrown. It's-
Overgrown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was John Kinslow, was
John was a brother of his.
It was
With
John and Tom and Lizzie.
and
his sister
Lizzie,
Lizzie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where are they buried?
Having it too. I wouldn't know.
Probably Monastery.
Probably.
Probably, I'd say.
Lot of your people went to Monastery.
Lots of people from Killeen went to Monastery to be buried. Yeah. I'm not sure now where they were buried.
Of course, people were buried in Donaghmore as well, Michael.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
People
could have been.
from Blackwater were buried in Donaghmore.
From Blackwater.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, because Anna and I went down to the cemetery in Donaghmore one Sunday, and we were talking to Neddy Dempsey, and Neddy and Dan had been doing up the headstones and all. And Neddy was just saying, my God, he says they came from Blackwater to be buried in Donaghmore.
Well, probably they had some connections, you see, with the
I don't
Ballygarrett.
know. May Middleton from Carbally, she's buried in Donaghmore as well.
is
Her
she?
husband Tom.
Yeah.
Tom Middleton.
Yeah.
Tommy Middleton.
And you think they'd have went to Kilmuckridge, like, wouldn't
Yeah.
you? Over there.
Yeah.
Down in
And
Donaghmore.
them men, the man that was that man lost an arm. He was.
Yes.
He would have been an old man when you were children, was he? Was he an old man then when you were chaps?
Well,
Oh, yes,
not
he
that
was.
old though. He
Well,
was
he-
like,
You see,
looking-
anyone at that time in their 70s, Michael, we see, was old.
Yeah.
You know.
But still, he was herding these cows on the
Yeah.
road. and
Oh,
all.
no, he was in good form. And
Yeah.
He was a great soldier, like he'd be stamping the foot along and
Yeah.
standing to attention and all that,
Yeah.
you know.
He never lost it, you see.
He never lost it.
No.
I think he was a little bit shell-shocked as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Was he married at
People
all?
used to say
Yeah.
that. No,
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't married, was he?
I don't
No.
think so.
Well, he was married, but he was separated. He was
Oh,
married
right.
to Emmy Sunderland down in the Moor Road.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
And they had 2 sons.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. I've forgotten that now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, was that when he came back after the war?
I don't know. I'd say to him he was married probably before he went to the war. I don't know.
I say he was in the
I'd say
First
he
World
was.
War like Dick Redmond.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this Dick Redmond man, he was the brother of Pat's, was he, or no?
No,
No relation.
You
at all.
know, do you know Joe Redmond up there in Ballynadroman? He'd be an uncle of his, brother
Yeah.
of his father's.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he a married man? Oh, he was a
No.
married man.
He
No,
married Tom
Oh, Dick was married,
Dick,
yeah.
Dick Redmond married a Babs White from Morris Castle, Mary White's sister. But she has passed away too. Tell you who was living in our home. Kathleen Sinnott, Kathleen O'Brien. She lives in her house.
That's right, she inherited it because
Yeah.
she looked after me.
Mary.
Mary
White, she never married.
Yeah, she had the caravan site and all over there.
Yeah.
That's another Babs, that is.
Another
Babs, yeah.
That's right,
Yeah.
another
Another
Babs.
Babs, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever come across the women having taken on their husband's name? Say there'd be so many Mary Redmonds to be taken on to be.
I haven't heard that, Michael.
Remember, Granny was telling me years ago, to be a woman should be known as Mary Pat or Mary John Redmond.
Oh, that's right. There was
Oh, yes, there were so many.
that's right.
Redmonds.
Didn't Mary Pat live down in Gerry somewhere, didn't she?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, was that
someone-
Mary Charlie's place?
Mary Charlie's place.
Oh, I
That's
read
right, it was
that there.
Mary Charlie, isn't it? It was Mary Pat. Oh, that's right. Oh, so they took the husband's name.
Yeah.
Oh,
But sure,
yes.
why they took that? Sure, Cillin and Mrs. Redmond, Cathy Wafer's mother and father was right across the road from her.
Oh, that's right. There was so many Redmonds.
And they had a
of course.
boarded house child called Florrie.
Oh, that's right.
Florrie. They had no family of their own.
Yeah.
And Florrie went to school with us.
Yeah.
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 Florrie.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Florrie, she was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've come
And that-
across that a lot, alright, but the name, to take on the name, it was so many Marys to take on so many of the same name.
Yeah.
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 Or Florrie would be Florence, I suppose.
But
Yeah.
sure, I got me mother's name, me granny's name, Michael.
Yeah.
Statia got her Aunt Statia's name.
Yeah, you were always called after some of the family.
Yeah.
And now they've all
Other
different names.
names.
Maybe they're after some superstar or something. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure would be.
Yeah.
And should the first boy be called after the grandfather?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yes. Yeah.
What was the popular names, the boys' names in your family? Was there a lot of...
We had no brothers.
Yeah,
We had
No.
no brothers. There was only 3 girls, Michael.
yeah,
Yeah.
Stacia,
Okay.
Katie and myself.
yeah.
Yeah.
And your own chaps, how many chaps do you have yourselves? You have...
I had 9 born alive to me. And we lost a little baby. Well, he was 7 months. He was born in 1960 and he died January 1961. He's buried now with grandfather and the daddy down in Ardamine. Yeah,
What was his name?
Pat.
Pat.
I called him after daddy.
Was he
Yeah.
your first child?
No, he was the 5th one. The first lot of mine is Anne and Mary, Tommy and Ger, and Pat, Aidan, Catherine, Danny, and Grace. Grace is the youngest one.
And how about yourself, Stacia?
Sorry.
How about yourself, your
I
child?
have 8.
Yeah.
7 lads, 1 girl.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Philip, Paddy, Eddie, John, Mary come in the middle of them, and Declan and Paul. Yeah, sure. You probably knew some of them going to school, Michael, I'd say.
Would have known some of them,
Yeah,
yeah.
you would have had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You surely knew Declan and Paul, would he have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Declan and Paul.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I mean, you're not that old yet, Michael.
And come here to me, you mentioned you had an Aidan. Do you ever hear the old people call an Aidan Moog?
Well, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when Aidan was born to me in Gorey Hospital, they were all born in Gorey Hospital, only Tommy. I had Tommy at home upstairs in that room, Nurse Donoghue delivered him. And Mary was only a year old and she never stopped bawling the whole time because she didn't like the strangers. I said never again was I going to stay at home for the birth of a child. But anyhow, I went into hospital for the rest of them after that. And that was Tommy. When Aidan was born, he was born in Gorey Hospital. They're all born in Gorey Hospital, only Tommy. And when Aidan was born now, Jimmy, we didn't know, I left it to Jimmy to think what he was going to
Put a name on him.
Put a name on. So he went up to Cranford to Kathleen, to see what would she come up with. And
This is Sister Kathleen.
his sister Kathleen. And now Kathleen says to him, call him Aidan Joseph, after grandfather. So that's what he was called, Aidan
Right.
Joseph. So now it turned out that his grandfather wasn't Aidan Joseph, it was Tom. The grandfather, Tom Murphy here, his father was Tom.
But maybe it was the other grandfather she was talking about.
What other grandfather?
You know, the mother's father.
No.
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 Yeah.
No, this was...
Oh, she wanted to call him
this
after
was
that.
Aidan Joseph Murphy.
Yeah.
Because he was in the RIC, I think, in Dublin at that time, and he married a Breen girl from the Breen girl from, what do you call it over, Corbally.
Oh,
Julie Breen? No. Which Breen was that?
The Breens of Corbally, where May Middleton lived. You don't remember her, Mike?
he wouldn't know.
No.
No, maybe
No.
then. Yeah.
But because, you see, I have a grandson, Gary, and he have gone through all relationships in the Murphys and his own family, the Groves. And he found out that the grandfather wasn't Aidan Murphy, it was Tom Murphy.
All right.
So that's how I know.
Yeah.
So they thought, do you see, going back that time, that they weren't talkative to one another, if you know what I mean, because they were so far apart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was in Dublin, and our IC man, she was in Ours Nuctaron now. But back that time it was called what? Back in the days, before it was called Ours
I
Nuctaron.
don't know. House of
Oh,
Parliament.
Leinster House.
House of Parliament or something.
No, Leinster House, I think.
Oh,
it
Leinster
was.
House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she was a cook there for young.
Jimmy's mother.
Jimmy's
Grandmother.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And she was, I stuck to him too, because when the girls were growing up here, you better learn to cook like my grandmother.
Yeah.
Well, if he was alive now, he'd have one below there, opposite the well.
Oh, yes.
Grace.
She is out on her own now for cooking.
She loves cooking.
So she took after her
After a
great-grandmother,
Oh, mother. God.
who was a cook for the President of Ireland.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know where it got the name of Horace Nuctaron. Maybe it's an Irish name
Oh,
for
it is an Irish
is, yeah.
name, yeah.
Actually, speaking of names there, because I'm interested in the name Moog. We know when you were little ones growing up, there was little words you would have used that you probably haven't heard for a while. Do you ever remember when you were making the bread years ago? What was the stuff you'd put on top of the lid?
Grecian.
Grecian. Yeah, the Grecian.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
they used to stick the teapot in the Grecian
Yeah.
to keep it hot. When
Yeah,
they
you see,
made
there was
it.
lots of Irish words used.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And the kettle would be boiling on the fire all the time, and anyone, my mother, God rest her, was always making tea in the cup.
Yeah.
And that was tea leaves that time.
That's
No
right.
bags that
there was no
time.
tea bags that time.
No.
And you call
Tea
it
leaves.
tea as well.
Tea.
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 That's right, it was tea.
Wasn't tea,
Yeah.
it was tea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Tea
then
and
you-
butter and bread.
Yeah. But I'm going to ask you that again. Like, so, when you were younger, there'd be certain words you would have used. So, when you were making the bread over the fire, you'd put you used to call it the greashig.
Yeah.
Grecian, yeah.
What, did you call it greashok or greashig?
Greashak, I think.
I don't
Greashak.
know, I just call it
Greashak, yeah. Greashak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have said Greashak.
Great,
Yeah. I suppose thinking people have different ways of
I
pronouncing
suppose
things.
Mammy would have had. She was a very educated person,
She was,
Mammy.
wasn't she?
Yeah. And she probably called it the Irish name.
Yeah, and when you're talking about the Greashak now, there was a skiock as well, which was a thorn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So-
ever hear of that, Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I say he did. He has been through all this now. He knows well enough what all these words are.
And do you
Over
remember
in Christmas Dow and all these places.
Yeah.
Christmas Dow was a crossroads?
Yeah.
Christmas Dow.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of stuff, do you ever remember being sent out to get a little a breastney of sticks or a brusna of sticks?
Oh, Brasna.
A brass.
A
Brasna.
Brasna.
Or a
of
busna.
sticks,
Yeah. Someone said
They
a
that's
busna.
busna. That'd be Irish.
Yeah,
The
both
Brasna would be English with us, and the other one would be Irish. I was never good at Irish, Michael. I was only fairly good at English.
And did you call
And
it
get the knuckles cut off you if you didn't know with a ruler. Or maybe the cane.
So there were two pronunciations for him. One was a brassney, was it?
A Brasna.
A
Yeah.
brasna?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Or a brusna, was
A
it?
Brosna.
Yeah.
And what
It's
was
only
it?
the way people pronounced it, I
Or
suppose.
a bundle of sticks.
Yeah. And there'd be often a bundle of sticks coming in on your back, yeah.
Did you ever hear your fathers and all talking if you were cutting sticks at home? Because Daddy would have used it. Ah, that's only old brus.
That's right.
There's
Yeah.
another one. There was only old brush.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Never thought of that.
Yeah.
And would you use brus even for money if you had a brus in your pocket of coppers? Ah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially the halfpennies would be called Bruce.
Yeah.
And the little threepenny bit with the rabbit on it.
Yeah.
They'd be
and, the,
called Bruce money.
and the sixpence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sixpence was a bit bigger.
greyhound on it. Yeah.
And we've ever told as well when they be we ever seen when we were home making bread there years ago, no, going out collecting the bits of sticks, going out and collecting dried cow dung,
Yeah.
or dried cow shite as they say.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
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 Do you ever remember someone you going out and collecting the dry cow dung and baking the bread with?
Oh, we surely did.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Poor Mrs. Rourke, God rest her. Yeah. She'd go out and
She only lived up the road from us.
she'd go out one day and she'd turn them over and let him dry, and then she'd go out the next day and bring him in, put him into a bag and bring him in. And if you told the youngsters now that bread was being baked with cow dung, they surely wouldn't eat it. Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing too, Michael, poor Mrs. Rourke and our daughters used to go up Coolook Lane to milk the cows and bring the milk home in the buckets.
Yes. Yes,
Up
and that's
field,
right. And the cow, the
it's
cow,
opposite
yeah.
Statia's house
Yeah.
there.
just there to crossroads.
Yeah.
And they'd sit in under the cow with
Yeah.
a little three-legged stool.
Yeah.
The little cow would stand in the field while they could
Yeah.
milk him.
Trained.
Yeah,
You know, the
Yeah.
cows were trained.
yeah,
And they sit there to their heart's content and
Yeah.
milk away.
yeah.
When I think of that now,
And carry the milk down then off
carry
down
the
to,
milk
yeah.
down. They had no ass and car or anything.
No.
Because the father had the horses for drawing gravel off of the beach here.
That's right.
And the two daughters used to help him to load. They used to be down here, then the Glascarrig Road, loading up the stones on the beach there, the gravel as they called it.
Yeah.
And they'd bring it up
What-
and bank it there.
What was it called? The depot, where they were putting in the
depot,
gravel.
yeah.
For the
Yeah.
council to
And
do the roads.
there you walk on that heap of gravel. There'd
Yeah.
be ructions. Remember, Miley Ennis hit
Yeah.
the head off me and going up in school one day.
Oh, you walked up on it?
I walked up on it and he got me.
All right.
He caught me because he was coming behind me in the horse and car and I didn't know. Get off of that heap of
All
gravel.
right. Yeah.
Because you'd be pushing it out to the road, you'd be flattening it then.
Yeah,
but
they had it
all
packed up, of course.
tidied up.
Yeah, and everything was done with shovels that time. There's
Yeah.
no such thing as machinery. And
But the heaps of gravel would be so well done up, like they'd be like the top of a rick of hay.
yeah,
And you
yeah.
walk on that.
And do you remember the ricks of hay?
I sure do. I used to climb them, the higher it was, the better. Out in the hedge. And then Daddy got us to come out with the belt. I cut the legs off you.
Well, he never hit you though.
Never hit you.
No, he only frightened you.
I remember we come in one day from there and we were under the table. Oh, God bless what we did to poor Daddy. Rising his temper, we were under the table and he swishing it. He knew well enough where we were, but he was swishing it. He used to take off his belt, you see. We gave up that for a bad job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was never afraid of heights. When you know, when
You were a bit of a daredevil.
I was.
Yeah.
Because Daddy got us to go up and I'd be up on top of the rig and I'd be taking up the hay off of the sprung where he was on the ladder to put it in on the roof.
Yeah.
And he made cocks of hay as well, did you?
And
We did, and we had to wind the hay to make the ropes for the cocks.
That's
Do
right.
you remember
Hit it.
that?
And then you had them pulling the boat of them. Oh, I used to hate that. And you get the thistles, thorns in your fingers and pulling out the boots. And then you'd put that up on top of them to head them up. And
Statia was a right girl for making the ropes for Daddy.
yeah, we used to twist her. You had a little twister and twisting the ropes
twisting
with the
the
hay. And good heavens, when you think about all
And we were young that time.
Yeah.
And we didn't get pains in our arms.
No.
We had to
We wouldn't be able to do it now, all right?
God, there's a lot of stage we wouldn't be able to
But you
do
just
now.
think of what people done that time, you know. So everything is machines now for
Press
everything.
buttons now.
You know, press buttons now. And
Yeah.
there was no television. We didn't even have a radio
No.
when we were young. We had a gramophone.
Yeah.
Lovely gramophone, remember, with the big horn on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we used to play
Yeah.
the records.
His Master's
Voice records. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
And we always had house dances.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the trashing day.
Yeah.
The trashing day, everyone would be at the trashing. Now, there used to be a right crowd of men helping out, neighbours.
Yeah.
And then
Stand back now and
get
mind
together
the dress
then
up.
that night for a dance.
Yeah.
Poor Neddy Connors to come in and play the accordion. Or,
There was no such thing as making appointments, Michael, for
No.
a house dance.
No.
Because if there was people in and someone had a accordion, there
Yeah.
was a dance right away.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there was only the cement floors, there was no
Like that.
light or anything. And then in the morning, poor mammy would have to clean down the dresser with the dust on the delf. With the half sets and the swinging around in the half sets, the dust to be going up and everything over the cement floors. Yeah.
Stand back and mind the dresser.
That's right. Yeah.
And they were great times.
They were great times.
Great times.
Everyone was so happy and
Yeah.
And there was no money.
No
You
more.
know, lads would come that time and work all day there and they got no payment
No.
because
Help
they
one
helped each
another.
other out. You know.
The neighbours helped one another.
Her neighbours always helped each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I was often wanting to go to a dance, but I wouldn't like asking Daddy for the money because I knew he couldn't afford it because he wanted for something more
And if
important.
I'd be only shilling.
And if, yeah,
Yeah.
or a concert,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't ask him because it'd be wanted for the food you eat or something.
Yeah.
Not saying, but we lived from the land.
Yeah.
You know, we got the potatoes, the onions, the turnips.
Yeah.
Anything we eat was from the land.
That's right. And we went shopping once a week down.
Yeah.
Poor Lizzie Kenny lived down
At
in
the forge.
Ardmine at the forge there, just opposite the graveyard.
Not opposite the graveyard.
No, just down a bit from it there.
Down the hill as you go
Yes.
on the left there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they had
Kenny's.
coupon books, you see, during the war years. And you only could get so much, you see, for the coupons. But all we ever got was the sugar and tea.
Yeah.
That used to be tobacco because we had our own milk
Yeah.
and we only had our own eggs and everything like that.
Yeah.
And
So
we
we
used to
only-
love getting there was little ginger cakes.
Yeah.
We used to love these ginger, and the batch loaves, the two batch loaves
Yeah.
were fastened together.
Yeah.
And we'd be picking at these coming home in the horse and car, the lovely
Yeah.
fresh bread.
Yeah.
Because everyone just made the homemade bread.
Yeah.
That time the shop bread was a great novelty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Mrs. Porter used to keep the batch loaf too, man.
Yeah.
You'd be picking and Mammy give out then, why is doing picking at the bread?
Yes, because sometimes you might have only the 2 crusts left, the whole middle of it gone out. Yeah.
Oh gosh. That was a treat, Michael.
And
Did you get a
Paul,
batch loaf?
yeah,
Did you get a loaf of bread in the shop? That was a
and the
treat.
little ginger cakes.
Yes,
Yeah.
because Mammy baked all the bread,
Yeah.
and the wheat had been ground for the wheat meal,
Yeah.
and we had a big bin in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and the when it had been ground, the wheat meal, that had
Yeah.
been in the bin.
Yeah, he used to bring up the wheat up to some gans up around
Gans of
Ballygarrett or somewhere
yeah.
up that way.
yeah,
You had ground.
Edmund.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
And the bin was the bin with the lid on it, lifted up
the
like
lid,
that.
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. You could sleep on it as well,
Yeah.
Michael. This big long bin.
Yeah.
Only was narrow like. But that's where they stored the meal, the
Yeah.
wheat meal and our flour.
Yeah.
A 10-stone bag of flour. You wouldn't remember the bags that we used to wash them and make sheets out of 'em.
I know
That's
but
right. They were
yeah,
white
yeah,
white
yeah.
calico.
You'd
Yeah.
use them for the make sheet and stitch
Yeah,
it together.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Sew them
Yeah.
together.
Sewn together.
And another thing with the sheets, when a hole or something come in the middle of them, then
Yeah, we patch 'em.
cut them and put the 2 wet
Oh,
ends
that's
together
right.
and stitch them up and make a new sheet.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, honest to God, people were so thrifty that time. They
yeah.
wouldn't be
We
buying
had
it.
to be.
Yeah, people did. You know, everything was mended and
Everything. And
and,
darned.
and stockings were darned. And,
Yeah.
and knitted.
Yeah.
There was a lot of knitting. You were great, Nick, May.
I didn't
You
need
used to-
stock and stuff.
Oh no, but you were great
Oh,
at the
you
jumpers and
needed
the
jumpers.
Aaron and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Did you have a praskeen apron?
Huh?
Did you have a thing called a praskeen?
No, the
No,
pasky, and that's
Pasky.
right.
I never wore one of them.
I didn't
Michael.
either. No.
But her Aunt Bessie in Cooperstown wore a plastic
That's right.
because she had 2 big pots on the crane on the open fire.
Yeah.
One for calf share and the other for pig share.
Yes.
And
that's
she
right.
pulled the pots out to lift
I don't
them
know how
off.
she used to lift them. Yeah.
I do not know.
Yeah, that's right. She had the pasky on her for that.
Yeah, for that.
Yeah.
And the potatoes would be boiled in a big pot. And the pot of potatoes would be put in to a basket over a bucket. And there'd be little tablecloth in the basket to save the potatoes to put out on the
They were
table.
drained, yeah.
Yeah.
Put out on the middle of the table,
On
then
the middle of
big
the
cloth in the
table.
middle of the table, the potatoes put out on us.
Yeah.
And maybe you'd only have a bit of butter with them.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah, and that'd be the homemade butter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
my mother used to churn and all, and I always had a
Yeah.
homemade butter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the men got the meat. We didn't bother about meat so
That's-
much. That
that's so
time we used
much.
to work. The men were working.
So in
you
other
see.
words, we were vegetarians.
Yes.
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 Yeah. And they're all going mad for the vegetarians.
Yes. And we'd have cabbage or turnip or something.
Oh yeah, you'd always
Yeah.
have cabbage and turnips
Yeah.
and onions and should have sawed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Uncle John used to kill a pig at Christmas time. And we get the pork steaks and all for
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
from
you
that.
used to kill a couple of pigs and
In the year.
in the year, you know.
Yeah.
And Dad'd go down, and Daddy was a brother of his. And
Yeah.
They'd go down and they had the salt, be several of them salt in this pig and
Salt
rub the
peat
salt
or they
into
put on
it. Good
the
heavens
pig,
tonight.
yeah. The big slabs be put up on a big
Yeah.
board table
Yeah.
and we rubbing that with a stone, the salt into it to
Yeah.
cure the,
And then sometimes we hung up in the chimney,
yeah,
the bacon. Oh,
Yeah.
God heaven, you think of hygiene, you know.
Up the chimney.
Up the chimney.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that must have been the smoke bacon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you ever remember them salting the herrings?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
We salted herrings in the bucket,
Yeah.
an enamel bucket.
Oh, my father, God rest him, loved herrings. Used to salt him down too.
Yeah, Jimmy used to fish.
And bring him in, then there was a crate for on the fire.
Yeah.
Just put him on it, and then when
Yeah.
the born he takes, just scrape off the black half and aim. They were lovely.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, a gridiron.
The gridiron, that's
to
right
warm the
there.
fire.
Gridiron.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
put the herrings on it and grill
Yeah.
them over the grease again.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And knowing you salted the herrings in the bucket, did you take the heads off them and gut them? Were they
No,
gut?
the
That's right.
heads were left on. You gut them, but the heads
Oh,
were
that's right.
left
The
on.
heads were left on him.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
You gut them.
Yeah, because when I used to go to hens now years, you know, a lot of years I used to, I'd always cut the head off them.
Yeah, well, I did too.
Well, you never keep them that long anyway. You know.
No, but when you be going to cook them on the pan to make room on the pan, you cut the head off.
Yeah.
But there was one gut in it, a long gut, and you had to make sure that was taken out.
Oh,
of the
that's
herring
right.
Before
Yeah,
you
see when he
cook
went
it.
down the hole, went to the
Yeah,
herring.
yeah,
Yeah.
And when you take him out, you see his tail wiggle when you pull it.
Yes.
That's the one?
yeah,
Yeah.
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 A long one.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
very important to get that out.
How long would you leave if the no one you'd be salting the herons in the enamel bucket? How
Well, you
long?
could leave them for as long as you want to, Michael. If you salted them in October, you could have them till March.
Oh, you're not serious?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good
Especially
heavens,
when
you
they
didn't
be
think the master
salted.
cat land?
Yeah.
Right.
God, we used to have them for ages.
Yeah.
And tell me this as well, when you were salting them, you'd build up layers of them in the bucket, would you?
Yeah,
Is that it?
yeah.
And
Build
put
up
salt,
the
I suppose, between
salt
each.
in
would
between
you?
the layers of herring.
Right.
And did you ever hear as well, 'cause Granny used to say you put them belly to back. You put them their belly to the back of the dough, so you
Yeah.
stick more in.
All right.
Yeah.
I
Put the
didn't
back
hear that
in
now.
and leave the belly out.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And
I didn't do that too often though, Michael. I only done that, I think.
Now, when
about
more of
for-
our parents' time that would have done it.
But in a couple of times now I done it here
Yeah.
when the lads would be fishing.
Yeah.
You know, Jimmy would go fishing.
And where did Jimmy go fishing from? Here?
Down here with the man Crow and Lar Crow and all them. And then they were over in Cahor fishing.
And would the Cahor herons taste different than the Glascarrig
Oh,
herons?
sure. Didn't matter to me, it was a herring, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
loved
I think the
herrings.
Cahor herrings were supposed to be very good though, weren't they?
Yeah.
Which there was no difference in for all of them.
They used to love
People had notions, you see.
They had notions, yeah,
Yes.
but they used to always crave for him up around Bowl of and Ballad and Munmalin for the Cahor herring.
That's right, the Cahor herrings were very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and people would go down the boys, what a maze of herrings. And then they go out maybe with Aston cars and all, and they'd sell
Sell
them.
them all, yeah.
Yeah. And another thing, the two Carneys,
Yeah.
they live down the Gary in the Moor Road now. They used to kill sheep and they go around selling the mutton.
Yeah.
They'd be uncles now of, they'd be related to Vesta MacDonald.
Yeah, the big granduncles of
Granduncles,
Vesty
yeah,
MacDonald's.
I'd say they would.
Yeah.
But poor Jack Bourne, Jack lived up the road from us now.
And
It was
Mary
Jack
Ann.
and Mary Ann, they were brother and sister.
Yeah.
And he go around with him, they were uncles of his.
Yes, right.
And they'd sell the mutton. They used to go down to Cahor, down to the castle and all that time to
Yeah.
sell the mutton. And they'd be going around of a fine sunny day like and
Yeah.
just covered down with a tablecloth or something. Do you know? And there was no such thing as germs or anything, do you know? Yeah.
I remember when I was in Granny's, Johnny Connors over from
That's
Kilmuckridge used to go around with a horse and car every Saturday evening, and Statia would buy meat from Johnny to make stews and all. And they used to make dumplings to go in the soup to make it plentiful
Yeah.
back that time.
That's right, they used to put the dumplings in the soup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had dumplings?
Dumplings were something like a plain scone, Michael, but they cooked in the soup
Yeah.
when they be making a stew.
That's right. Yeah.
Did you make them?
No, I didn't.
No, I never made that.
But they were made in Granny's.
Yeah. Our grandmothers would have made them, I
Yeah,
suppose, you
yeah.
know.
Well, grandmother
Yeah,
wasn't that.
My mother used to make them, God rest her, yeah.
Yeah. But Granny wasn't that robust that time,
No,
like, you know.
no, it was mostly
Anastasia. do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did fill out the food? Did give you
Yeah.
extra?
Yeah. Yeah.
Filler.
Filler. A filler.
Filler,
That's
yeah.
what it was.
But Lord, I didn't know that we had them here now. Because I've
Yeah.
seen them up, yeah.
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 I
And
never cared for him.
I
always
didn't either, no.
I thought it was too doughy.
Yes.
You know, I'd rather twice have the scone or the buns, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call them, the
Yeah.
corn buns.
Yeah.
I'd rather twice have them that way, but I never
No, I was
cared
never
for
that
'em.
keen on them either. They were
No.
kind boiled bread like, you
Yes,
know. Yeah.
yes.
Would it have a savoury taste at all?
Oh, they have the same salty
Yeah.
taste, like with the
They had a peculiar taste.
peculiar taste.
Yeah.
And were they round or were they
Oh,
more
round, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
round.
yeah, round ball, like.
Yeah, round
Yeah,
hand size, like, yeah.
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 Yeah, I suppose they just throw them that way and put them
Yeah, put 'em into
it
the
and-
hot soup.
Yeah.
And tell me this as well, did you have called cannon at Halloween as young girls?
Oh, you
Oh,
love the
God,
call
yeah.
cannon.
We loved that.
Yeah. And we made in a big pot over the fire.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Surely was.
And what was in your call cannon?
Well, there was not only cabbage and onions and sprouts.
Yeah, that was it.
A bit of
Yeah.
parsnip.
I don't remember parsnip because Jimmy didn't grow parsnips.
Well, I didn't like parsnips anyway. I never put parsnips in it
Nor,
either. No, the
carrot.
cabbage, the onions and the potatoes, yeah.
But in later years, when the family were growing up and all, I used to often put carrot into the call cannon.
Oh yeah, you put
You know,
carrot into it, yeah.
You cook it before you make up the call cannon because the potatoes we cook before the carrot.
That's right, you had to cook the vegetables first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd cook them in the skillet pot over the
Yes.
fire.
Yeah.
Small drop of water. And
Yes.
would you use the cabbage leaves on top for it to act like a steamer? The old cabbage leaves, would you?
No, I just put them in with a good tight lid on the pot.
Yeah.
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 You know, you put a raw potatoes on the bottom of a big pot and you put the cabbage in, the onions, and if you had a carrot, whatever, and put another row of potatoes over that. And then you simmer them. When they boil, simmer them. Simmer the potatoes, because if you didn't watch them, they'd be in pulp.
Yeah.
And then your call can be spoiled.
And especially that time the potatoes were lovely and floury.
Yeah.
Weren't they?
Oh,
You
they
know,
surely
and they were fresh coming out of the ground. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember as well, you'd have called cannon Halloween night?
That's right. Yeah.
We never
Yeah.
had that though. We
Yeah.
never.
No, we
We never went in for that.
No, we were never that much traditional, like, you
No.
know. Yeah, but that was for Halloween.
Oh yeah. I think they used to have them in the pub, did they?
I think so.
Yeah.
And the barn bracks with the
Yeah.
ring and all in. So if you got the ring, of course, you were going to be married first and all this.
Married right away.
All the things.
Yeah.
And they used to put a button in it. Whoever got the button was the bachelor.
Yeah.
Yes, well, after the bachelor. I think they put something else into it as well, did they?
I don't know.
Maybe a
how
medal
that-
or a bit of money or a nail or...
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, if
But
you
there
put
was
the
a button
money
and a
in,
ring anyway, I know.
if you put the money in, you'd marry a man with money.
Did you ever remember putting the money in the call cannon? Because my mother at Mammy home did that.
I think they put him in the Carl Cannon too, didn't they, as well as the bracks? I think you're, yeah.
Yeah. See, everyone's house could be different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're all different.
And did you make the barn bracks, women? Did you make the barn
Oh
bracks?
God,
Oh
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, steep the fruit in the
Yeah.
tea and
Yeah.
yeah.
And
But I haven't made it back this years.
Well, I don't make bracks anymore because Jimmy is not alive to eat bracks.
Yeah.
And
And
none
now-
of that family eat
No,
fruit bread.
Yeah, but apart from that, they don't eat sweet things.
No.
Full stop. Now you have to be minding their figures and all now. They don't want sweet stuff.
Yeah. I can't understand it at all. God, well, we give our heart out for a bit of barn brack long ago.
Well, it's true.
I only came at Halloween time, the barn
Yeah.
brack.
Yeah.
You still get a brack all right to buy. But only occasion, but only around that time, Halloween time, you'd only get a brack.
Now you go into the supermarkets now, you can pick them up any day.
I dare say.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I picked up one last Halloween there in Gerrard's,
Yeah.
and it was a lovely one. It was rinds.
Oh,
But
rinds,
I
yeah.
only eat some of it and Anne brought it home to Martin because
Yeah.
he liked barn black.
Yeah.
I get a couple of slices and I'd be finished then.
Yeah.
You know, I'm able to eat like I was, Mike.
Yeah. Tell me this, do you remember when you were making the bread years ago, putting the sign of the cross on it?
Oh, always.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I still do the same and I'm
We
making the
always
bread.
did that,
Yeah.
even on the open fire.
Yeah.
That was, we always put the cross on and we'd help it to bake
I wonder
it.
what was the origin of that now, Michael, putting the cross on it. Would it be a religious thing or? I'd say
It was going back in time.
Yeah, I never heard of now what the...
No.
And you'd always put a bit of blessed salt in it as well. Would you put a bit of
salt and bread soda.
Oh, yeah.
And the buttermilk to
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Fresh buttermilk
Yeah.
and salt and soda.
Yeah.
Did your mother churn?
Yes.
She did,
Yeah.
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 And I churned and made butter here as well.
But it wasn't a churn now, she had a creamery can.
Yeah.
And a wooden thing with a dash, they call
Yeah.
it. Churn it up and down, I fed up churning. Everyone come in and see anyone that come in had to get a dash. If not, there'd be no profit on it.
No.
Wasn't that it?
Yeah. Yeah, you used to hate this dash.
Even if they only done one, that done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd be churning for long enough though before you got the butter on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my mother was great for making the bread, butter and all.
Oh, she was a great
putting
bread
in the salt
maker.
and the wooden spades, as you call them.
Yeah.
So that's your poor grandmother done the same, God rest her. Poor Jane.
Yeah.
She was great, yeah.
And did you ever remember as well, I remember Granny saying to me, they were always told to leave a little pat of butter on the back of the door for the fairies.
No,
Did you
never
hear that?
heard
That
that.
was another, yeah.
They were worried the
I heard
fairies.
that.
Did you hear that?
I
Did you?
heard
Yeah,
that.
there was always fairies that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
My God, there were, and lights.
Yeah.
You'd see lights, and now there's no lights you see since electricity going everywhere.
They
Everyone
called
was in
them,
the dark that time.
they called them pisherogues. What does that stand for? That's an Irish name.
That's an Irish name too, yeah.
Remember that?
Pisherogues. Yeah,
Pisherogues.
yeah,
Poor Mrs. Rourke used to
Yeah,
say that. Oh,
yeah.
Pisherogue, you.
yeah.
And so lights were seen, weren't they?
Oh,
Lights to
yeah.
be seen in graveyards or
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
queer things were seen.
yeah.
The life used to be frightened of me. I used to go down to Ballygarrett and they lived down a field.
Yeah,
And
down
I'd
there
be-
at Nan's.
And Nan's and Uncle John's place
Uncle
in
John.
Ballygarrett.
That's where Brendan Dye lives now.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's down at the farmyard and the big
Yeah.
old long lane down
The
across
long
the field.
lane. And I think I'd never get up the lane to get up on the bike to get out on the road, and then I'd have a lamp on the bike and that'd be showing shadows and you'd be going twice as hard then. You was afraid of your life. Oh, I was
and
terrified.
there mightn't be a very good battery in it, you see, so it wouldn't be
No.
shown very well.
No. Terrified.
Yeah.
And still you'd stay out late, you know, down in Ballygarrett or in Coburton,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So Granny told me as children they used to look out the window at the Boyery and every night they'd see jack-o'-lantern, she says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Children, you know. the story.
Children, yeah.
Did you hear jack-o'-lantern around here? Did we hear them stories?
I have a lantern still, Michael, hanging out in the shop.
Have you, May? Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Were you
Yeah.
never told about jack-o'-lantern? There was lights
No.
seen in the
Oh,
walls.
Jack the
Oh,
Lantern.
Jack-o'-lantern.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh, that's
Yeah, I
going
was supposed
back.
to be seeing out around, yeah.
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 Well, of
Yeah.
course, I think now that going back long before my time, there were ghosts. I think there really
And there was the
was.
Banshee, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then
Which the people thought was ghosts maybe because there was no lights and they imagined. See, how is there no
but then
ghosts
they
now?
wouldn't
Ghosts
see
now?
lights. They wouldn't see lights.
Yeah.
But if a man was out looking after sheep and he had
That's
a
right.
lantern, so
Yeah.
that they wouldn't think that was a ghost.
That's right. Yeah, they
You
could be
know,
out, yeah, maybe a cow
maybe a
calving
cow.
or something.
He was looking after sheep, lambing or something
That's
like
right.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever hear, did you call it the bow here? Did you
The
ever hear-
bow. That's
The
right.
bow.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah,
banshee,
the
was
Banshee.
it?
And yeah, she used to be combing her long hair with
Yeah,
a
I
silver
never
comb.
seen her,
A
but-
silver comb, wasn't it?
I remember Daddy.
And if you said anything to her, she could throw the comb at you and kill you.
Kill you. Yeah. But I remember coming home from Sadie Murphy's now, Sadie down that time partner show, coming home with Daddy one night and oh sure there was frost on the road and Daddy was going in front of me and I was going behind him on the bikes and we come to the Killarney crossroads and I heard this roaring. Daddy says, that's the Banshee.
Oh.
Well, I thought I'd never get home and it was over in Porters or else.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
sure then, Jimmy, God rest him, told me, she says, "Mate, sure, that was only a fox."
And that's right, the fox, yeah.
And we terrified.
Yeah.
They were real living things and we were afraid of them.
Were you ever told never to pick the comb off the road?
The what?
Never told to pick a comb off the road. It was the bow's comb. You ever told
No,
that?
never heard that, no.
Oh yeah, it was referred to the bow's comb. If you pick the comb off the road.
Oh, I didn't hear that, no. Yeah. And what had happened to you if you picked it up?
She'd come rapping on your window that night and you have to hate the tongs in the fire and put it out the window, or else she'd come after
Oh,
you.
mercy.
That was the story.
Heat the tongues and put the comb on it. Should that had melted?
Oh no, you see, they were probably steel that time. They weren't plastic that time, you see.
Probably not, yeah.
Do you remember?
She'd have a gold one or a silver one anyway.
She'd be able to afford it, yeah.
Yeah.
We never told us well that years ago a comb would be called a rack. To rack.
The rack?
Oh yeah.
That's right.
The hair rack.
Yeah. Yeah, they were hair rack. Where's they were hair rack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To rack your hair.
Yeah. Probably that was great old saying, wasn't it?
Yeah. But the hair rack was a big ugly looking yoke.
Oh, is it? Oh, there was,
It was
there was,
way back.
oh, so there was such a thing as a hair rack?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was only called the
little
combs
teeth.
racks.
Yeah.
Oh,
They were
right.
ugly looking yokes.
Yeah, no, I never seen
Yeah.
one.
But then again, when I think of it now, the big ugly looking comb, so people had hairs down to their
That's
hips,
right.
like poor Aunt Dora, we
You're
were all
right.
born hair.
Yeah, she'd beautiful hair. Yeah.
And it had surely taken a big rack to comb that.
Oh, that's right, too.
And she'd bring that around and she put it into a plait and put it all around her head and clip it in.
Yeah.
Tie it into the
Yeah.
plait.
Yeah.
That's why they had big hair racks that time, Michael.
Oh, yeah. Keep the hair.
People had long hair.
Yeah.
Long. Aunt Dora had
Oh,
gorgeous
she beautiful hair.
Now our sister Katie,
That'd be Martin Mannion's mother. Yeah.
and Katie, our sister, had beautiful
Beautiful hair. She was red.
Yeah, and she was like Aunt Dora.
Yeah.
All
And
born
my
in-
daughter Mary is the same. She had the
Yes.
red hair like Katie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all born the colour.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all red as
Oh,
well.
Auburn. Yeah.
And tell me this, you know the way you've got short hair now, the two of yous. Did your mother have long hair?
Oh, Mammy had long hair.
Yeah.
When she was
young, I
When
suppose.
she was, well, in our day, 2 stages, she had long hair. But she always put in a bun
That's
at the back
right.
of her head
Yeah.
and clipped it at the side.
Yeah, there was
and
the hair clips that time.
Yeah, and she had the hair pins to stick in the bun.
Oh, that's
and
right.
wear a
The
hair
hairpins.
Yeah. And a hair
The hairpins then were like a piece of wire.
Yeah,
4 strands of them.
Yeah.
The hairpins.
and stick it into the bun.
She
and
had a
keep it.
great, great memory.
Yeah, can see her doing it still.
Did all the old women years ago have long hair? Did most of them have long hair? The older women, when you were girls?
Most of them, God, they had good heads of hair. Though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, they had
And there was no
good
such
heads.
thing as shampoos or any carbolic
Oh,
soap.
they
I
surely
suppose,
were.
most of it.
Carbolic soap
Yeah.
and sunlight soap
And
and, all
sunlight
that.
soap. There was no hardly
Car-
toilet soaps either.
No, they washed themselves in carbolic soap.
That's right.
But the sunlight soap was kept mostly for washing clothes.
Yeah.
Well,
the
it was a
carbolic
good
would,
washer.
the carbolic would have been washed for clothes too, I suppose. And then the
Excuse me.
washboards and the scrubbing them.
Yeah,
Good heavens, when you think of the work they had to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we did those
That's
days,
right,
one.
yeah.
Use the washboards,
Yes,
the
true.
colours of the shirts.
The greatest thing that ever come around was the water. Because I remember, I think Martin was only a baby at the time when the water come. We got a,
Yeah.
what did they call it? Remember we went together. There was a name on the getting
The group scheme.
the group scheme. That's
Yes,
right.
The group scheme.
And we got the one. It was the greatest thing to go out to the sink
Yeah,
and fill the kettle.
yeah. We
And
got
then,
a group scheme.
and then I got
here.
a washing machine, the twin tub washing machine.
Yeah.
Or you had to stay with it all right, and then there was a spinner on one side of it. But it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Of course, by washing and heating water for the bats, and
Yeah.
this heated the water and all. You see,
Yeah.
yeah.
What year are we talking?
Oh, back
Sure,
in the 60s?
Martin was born in...
Oh, wait there
Martin
now.
was born in 65.
Yeah, but
So
the
he was
water,
only, around 66 we got.
we didn't get the
You didn't
water
get it for
here
another good while
until
after that.
81.
Yeah,
Jim was a baby
yeah,
when we got the water.
yeah.
And how we got the water here was Danny and his sister Mary went together and formed a group of neighbours
Yeah,
and collected and hookers down here. So they all went together as a group and got the water down
yeah,
from the mains up the
yeah.
road.
Yeah, because that's the way we done it too, up in
Yeah.
Killane, like, to get the group scheme.
Yeah.
But then up the Corritubbin Road, there's no water on the Corritubbin Road, because Stephen now, that'd be Eddie's son Stephen, and he has a house there built a house there near where Dolly is living now.
Yeah.
And he had sent, when he was doing the things and all, he had sent in money, I think, to the council, I think, for the water supply, get the water supply. And then sure turned out that there was no water supply on the Corritubbin Road. He had to sink his own well.
Yeah.
And it was seemingly the only one road that didn't have the water.
Yeah,
Because
because
Dolly and her Elaine is now, and she's sunk a while as well, have her own pump.
yeah, but you see, there was farmers there, Statia. They had their own well.
Or that was it.
Although Joe Keogh up here had his own well. I think he had 2 wells at the time because
That's
that
right.
was Smith's of Glascarrig
Yeah.
back in time.
Yeah.
And he had 2
And probably
wells.
Smith's at Glascarrig would have got it anyway,
Yeah, but
because
he
that'd
took-
be in a big gentleman's place like at that time, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
but he joined in with Mary and Danny.
Oh,
to
I'd say
get
he
the
did to
water.
get the water,
Yeah.
Because you had to have so many houses, of course.
Yes.
To get
McDonald's joined in.
Yeah.
I think Daly's
I
did
say
too.
anyone that's on the road did now.
Anyone living on the road.
Yeah, and
But
then
then-
the couple of the bungalows. There's only the one bungalow, of course, that time,
Yeah,
wasn't there?
yeah.
Hogarth's.
But the houses then, when the people up the road came to live in their summer homes, they had to get permission from the council to get the water into their homes.
Yeah, but once it was on the road, you see, they were okay.
Yeah, but they had to pay for it.
Yeah.
You know.
It was 1981 before you got the water, was that right, mate?
Oh yeah, it surely was,
Where were you getting
Michael.
the water before that? The well?
I drew water out of the well opposite Grace's house over there for 26 years.
Yeah,
Well water.
yeah.
And
that
in
was a
the
great well done,
summertime,
eh?
I had to wash clothes and do everything with the water from the well. So I was continually going to the well.
Yes.
Now,
I
that's where
understand
we
that
go.
you'd love it when it was after rain because you had a barrel on
Yeah,
the shoes.
barrel or a tank
Yeah, and
inside.
you had a
with
lovely
the
clean your water. I used to go to Killane, the Killane, there was a pump up in Killane, and I was able to go up on the bicycle that time, get me bucket of water and come home on the bike. So go on with one hand, me bucket of water.
Yeah.
I come in one day and I had a little stove like in the kitchen. I used to put a bucket of water up on. John was only 2 at the time. Of course, John went over, caught the bucket of water and turned it all over the kitchen floor. I had to turn around, I wiped the all over, I had to go back to Killane again. And another day, he was a little devil, he was in the pram. And he was able to stand up in the pram and get the pram along. I had the oil cloth on the table. I was after having the tea and all the delf was on the table. He got the oil cloth like this and he pulled the whole thing down on the floor. I'm glad in fact the things that,
Yeah.
when you think back the things that
you
happened.
see, John was strong stage.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
whatever
He was
way he
able to-
was able to rock the pram
Rock
a
the pram,
go
yes.
with him.
Yeah.
Rocking the
Yeah,
pram.
yeah.
Then he got at the
If I told him
table
that
now.
now, I'd actually he'd be disgusted.
He'd laugh at you.
Oh, he would. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But really, your kitchens lads years ago, sure. Like, did you just cook on the open fire for?
Oh, yeah.
When I came here, first I cooked in the open fire, Michael. And I did then till I got a gas cooker. And when the gas came to Ballygarrett, a lady from Dublin came down. And Mary was only a baby at the time. That's my second child. And we went up. Poor Mrs. Sil Murphy was telling me about this gas. She says, May, wouldn't it be great now? She says, we could get a gas cooker. And I said to her, I'll go to the meeting anyhow. Well, she says, I will too.
Oh, you said it was a meeting in the hall,
It was a
was
meeting
there?
in the hall because this was the first time the gas cookers and the gas came to the villages. But anyhow, we went to the meeting and this lady was down in Dublin. I have the recipe still that she showed us to make little shortcake things and how to cook them and all that. But we learned ourselves. We got the bread into the oven.
Yeah.
And that's why I was finished with the open fire. And it was a godsend.
Yeah.
The gas that time was a godsend.
Well, the first one I got was an oil cooker.
Yeah,
There was a double lamp oil cooker,
Yeah.
and you had the oven set up on top of it.
Yeah.
Then you lifted down the oven when you wanted to boil things on it.
Yeah.
And it was part of an oil. You put part of an oil into a glass thing and you turn it upside down onto the side of it.
Yeah.
You hadn't one of them, man.
there was one here, but it didn't belong to me. It was Kathleen's.
Oh, right.
Yeah, she had one.
So eventually then I did get the gas one.
Yeah.
But I done a whole lot of baking on that oil cooker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it
and
was a
cooking.
godsend.
Yeah, you just lifted down the oven, then you had the lamps there to boil
Yeah.
the things. And
Yeah.
What year are we talking?
Oh gosh, that was
sure, it would have
back
been
in
the 60s.
55, the 50s, way
Yeah.
back in the 50s.
We only got the electricity, you see, in the 50s.
Oh, it was before then. Statia was
God,
here.
it wasn't,
Oh, the electricity was here when Hogarth's bungalow was built.
Was
It was
it?
49.
All right, I thought
Yeah.
it was in the 50s.
Sure, it wouldn't have been here only for Hogarth's because they had to get someone else
I
in
know,
on
it
it.
wouldn't have been that let it go, maybe. Because
It is because
it's not
Hogarth,
sure Ned used to work on with the ESB and they're putting up the poles and all for it.
well, Hogarth's got it back in 49 when the bungalow was built.
All right.
And they couldn't get the transformer until Jimmy's father joined in with him. And sure, he had the electric kettle and the radio.
Yeah,
That's all he had now in the lights.
yeah,
There was no electric cookers or anything.
yeah.
So the first gas cooker was mid-50s. You got.
Oh yeah.
So you went.
56. 1956 was the first time I got a gas cooker.
So you were cooking everything on the open fire.
Yeah, I had no other way for cooking because the oil cooker was belonging to my sister-in-law, Kathleen. And when she got married, that went with her. So I only had open fire. But it wasn't, well, we were used to that. We did the baking at home with Mammy, with the
Yeah.
open fire and
Yeah,
the pan and the lid.
yeah.
The crane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this woman came down from Dublin and had a meeting in the hall.
Had a meeting in the hall. The school it was that time, Michael. And we had a meeting there. And then...
I say it was the hall. I say it was the hall down past the chapel there at that time, was it?
Oh, God, no.
Was
It was
it?
a school opposite Tom Redmond.
All right, but there was an old hall there with down
Oh,
at the
there
back.
was. That was the dance hall in the picture house.
Oh,
Sure.
I thought maybe it was that hall you had it.
No,
It was in the school.
no, it was in the school.
Was
And
there-
Mr. Redmond became the agent for the gas that time. And Sean had to learn how to set it up, the cylinder of gas to the gas cooker, and had to learn if anything went wrong, like a leak or anything. He had to learn all that. Sean had.
Sean Redmond.
So he was the first agent here in this parish to have the gas cookers. And Mrs. Sil Murphy got one as well. But then later on in life, when the family got bigger, she got a big Yaga cooker. And I think it's still there with Tom and Paddy.
When did you get your first gas cooker?
In November 1956,
Great head to take it, the things out.
Mary, my second child, was a baby.
Yeah,
That's how I remember.
yeah,
And I got me cooker then.
yeah.
From Mr. Redmond. He was the agent for the gas cookers.
And how many rings were on it?
4
And an oven.
and the oven. And a grill on top.
Oh, that's right. They were lovely
Yeah.
cooker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I was stuck for anything, I'd turn down the burners at the back real low. If I had to dry anything, I'd put it up on top of that when the children were small. I wanted a cardigan now or something for the child. I used to dry him with the grass low, and that had dried for me.
Oh, yeah. You were into the drum on top of the...
On the grill.
On the grill, yeah.
Take the pan out
Oh, good
and
heavens.
put them on the you know, the wire grid on it
Yes.
for holding the pan.
Yeah.
And I
My
put the
God.
clothes there. Watch it.
Wonder we didn't go on fire, wasn't it?
Oh my God, you wouldn't want it to go on fire. You'd have to watch them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you had the open fire, you had not only chairs and twines in the house
Lines,
drying clothes,
Yeah.
especially in the winter time.
Yeah.
And I had 2 boys, I'm not ashamed to say, had 2 boys that wet the bed, and I had to wash them and keep them dry every night.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the washing, all by hand,
Yeah.
carrying water.
Yeah. And heating the water over the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were happy.
Yeah, you didn't just write, it was a way of life.
It was a way of
A
life.
way of life, no one put any shame in it.
No.
No.
And I never
Yeah.
think of those days. They were good, happy days when
Yeah.
we were young.
Yeah.
Good, happy days. We had good times and great sing-songs, and
Yes.
dancing and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
That kept us alive in heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And our mother was a great singer, and of course this lady's a great singer.
Oh, thank you, May.
Yeah.
You are too.
I
used
was
to
one
always be-
time, but
You
not
used to always
anymore.
sing.
I used to be in the choirs.
Do you sing yourself, Michael?
Only at home for the children.
Yeah.
My wife sings now.
Oh,
she's
she's
a
a
beautiful
beautiful singer. I haven't heard her, but
Well,
I heard
have. I've heard her
Statia.
at their mum and dad's
Yeah.
funeral. She's a beautiful singer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What, can I ask you a question? What were the local songs you sang here? What were the songs you sang?
Well,
That time?
at that time, oh, sure, there was so many. Danny
Oh,
Moore
sure,
and
we
all
had-
those and
When you'd have the radio, Michael, you had Luxembourg coming in
That's
with all the
right.
American tunes and all that, and you had Perry Como and Fred Astaire and Frank Sinatra.
That's
All
right.
them back in
Yes.
our day.
Yeah.
And when I was dancing, I was going to the Tar Ballroom.
Yeah.
And Jimmy taught me how to do ballroom dancing. And we went there.
They were
we
two of
went,
the best dancers you could see, Michael. No.
and we went to the KMH in Kilmuckridge, which was a tent up there, the Creamery Road. Then Tom Rat and them all got together and they built the KMH.
Oh,
And
so it was
still
a tent first when you went?
there. Yeah.
Oh,
It was
right.
only like a marquee.
Oh, Marquee,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's when we went on the bikes from Killena
yeah,
station.
yeah.
Who were basically lawless.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I used to go to
Yeah,
them.
you
It
used
was
to.
the hall that time when I started going.
you would start going
Yeah.
the hall, but we went to where the marquee oak was.
Yeah.
So you remember the KMH opening? Do you remember the KMH opening in Kilmuckridge?
I
Yeah.
wouldn't. I probably did, Mike, but didn't take any notice of it, if you know.
Yeah.
But I have a picture of the 7 Dabbits that played for a GA dance in Kilmuckridge.
All right.
And
Yeah.
I didn't part with it.
Yeah.
And now she knows where to find this. She's already put her hand on these things now and she's able to get them. Yeah.
And there they are, the 7 Dabbit brothers.
Oh,
Now they have grandchildren
Ah,
themselves.
look at the back of the David show band. What's the
good Lord.
Fairness County Wexford?
That's the GA.
Oh,
club.
good heavens.
Yeah,
Good Lord God. Isn't that
Yeah.
incredible?
that's the 7 Dabbits.
Just let's see
What year was that,
made.
May?
I have it written on it, 1970.
Good Lord God.
1970,
Yeah.
featuring the fabulous
It wasn't
David
long.
brothers. Ireland's only
The father and
all-pioneer
mother
show
travelled
band.
with him.
Good heavens tonight.
Yeah,
The be at Ballygarrett GA dance
yeah,
came up with the 22nd of March 1970.
yeah,
Oh, good heavens, isn't it great to keep them?
yeah. And I never parted with it.
And tell me this, you mentioned there in passing, you said there was a picture house in Ballygarrett.
Yes, in the old hall.
There was.
There where the car park is now.
Never heard that.
Yeah, yeah.
A picture.
Our Tommy went to school there when they hadn't room in the school now.
That's right, Sir
opposite
Philip did too.
Yeah, they went to school, and Tommy and John Wafer used to have to carry bundles of stick from the old school down to the one in the old hall. They went to school, and Mrs. Mannion was their teacher, and there was a Miss Rossiter there from Wexford, and she was teaching them that time.
Yeah.
Miss Rossiter and Miss Mangan.
Yes, Jimmy Mannion's wife. They lived in River Chapel.
Jimmy the butcher down in
Jimmy the
Cortown.
butcher.
Yeah.
His wife.
Were they related to Mangan, Martin Mangan and Michael Mangan?
No, Mannon.
Mangan.
M-A-N-N-I-N-G, I think was her name.
M-I-N-N-I-O-N, I think it was it. Mannion.
Something like
Yeah, something
that.
like that.
It wasn't Mannion.
Okay.
It wasn't
Yeah.
Mangan, no.
No,
Yeah.
no, it
Right.
was Mannon.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had the butchers down there, and his wife was the teacher.
And
And one good teacher she was.
surely
She was
was.
brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant out on her own. Miss Rossiter was very good too.
yeah.
Because of great teachers in
Well,
Ballygarrett.
Miss Rossiter was there when my Mary started.
Yeah.
Oh, the day she started school.
Mary.
Mary, my
Yeah.
Mary. Anne had started school and not a bother on her. Just walked in and sat down the day she started. Well, the day Mary started. Then Miss Roster told me to go off now to say goodbye to her and go off. And I stayed over at Redmond shop to see the keeper. Well, she kicked out of her arms. She did everything. Oh, I said, now this lady is not going to go to school.
Yeah.
So eventually she calmed her down. And only Anne was in school before I think I'd have had her home. Oh, mercy. I'll never forget the day she started school. And then I started Danny in January after the Christmas holidays. And he wasn't settling in well. And Mrs. Dugan, Gar Dugan's wife, was teaching up here that time. She was an old lady, but she was a lovely teacher and good teacher.
And she was real motherly, of
Real
course.
motherly.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
Danny wasn't taken to school anyhow. So one day she brought him home in her car. And she says, Mrs. Murphy, take Danny in, she says, and start him to school after the Easter holidays. And he did, and he never looked back.
All right.
Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mrs. Dugan,
Yeah. Sure he wasn't going to stay, and that was
he
it.
wouldn't
didn't-
stay in school. And his brothers and sisters in school.
Yeah.
what year are we talking, May?
Danny was born in 68. Aidan was born in 62. Aidan was in 68 now. Well, did the hurlers win a match that year? Because remember Jimmy going to Croke Park that time. He was born the 2nd of May now, Danny was. But I remember he was going to a match in September, the first Sunday of September.
That's right, the All Ireland was always on the
All-Ireland.
first Sunday in
And
September
I'm nearly
that
sure
time.
Tony Dorn and them were Ireland that time. And I think they won that match.
Actually, Wexford were very good that time, weren't
Yeah.
they? With the records and,
Yeah.
So that was a school across from Tom Redmond's there now, the hall.
Yeah,
The hall,
yeah. You see, the new school wasn't built till 70, 1970. I think they started in 69,
They built it.
they built it, and they
Yeah.
went into it in 70.
Yeah, because I know Martin was only 3 weeks in the old school, all right, when he started up in the new
Yeah,
one.
and Catherine as well.
Yeah, that's right, Martin and Catherine to be the one age.
1 year.
Yeah.
What
couple of
happened?
months.
What happened in the old hall that was across from the McLemore there? It was a bit.
It was knocked down to
Knocked
make the car park, Michael, and there was ructions over it.
Yeah, because it should have never been knocked down either.
No.
No.
But they knocked it down to make the car park.
Yeah.
Was it big? How big was it?
Not that big now. How would I describe it here? How
It would have
would I
been probably as big as the school there, a little bit. It wouldn't have been hardly as big as the school,
No,
would
it
it?
was long shaped, you see. There
Oh,
was
yeah.
no loft on it. There was
Yeah,
just
well,
the 4 walls and the roof on
Yeah,
it.
but the length of it was down from
Yeah.
the road, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was only the front of it.
Yeah,
you
and
know.
then they had a stage down at that far end of it. You go in the door here, and then you had the whole length of the hall. And I dare say it'd be the width of the kitchen here, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would. I be. Yeah,
Yeah.
about that, I suppose.
It
Yeah.
would be a good bit.
Yeah.
God, it was
What would
fairly
it have
long.
been? What would it have been before? Was a hall? Was a
Oh
hall?
God, no! Niels of Old Town built it for a hall.
Oh, was built for a hall.
Built for a hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the old school that Daddy went to, that was knocked down. The old school that Daddy went to school there in the hall. There was a school there.
Yeah.
And they knocked that down, and the O'Neills of Newtown built the new hall.
All right.
So there was a school there as well, May. Separate school.
Oh yeah, back in our daddy's time they went to school there. There was an old school there.
That would have been before that one there that the
Oh yeah,
house when
before.
was built. I
Yeah.
don't know what
Was that
year that school was built in Ballygarrett. The one across from Redmond now.
1914.
1914
Yeah.
was it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was going back in daddy's time now,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. Well, that was back in what? Nearly the early 1800s,
That
wasn't
would have
it?
been.
Yeah. Mammy and him said sure they were the same age.
When was your father born? What year was he born, do you know?
God, I can't think.
Daddy, Mammy was born in 1909, was it?
Was it? I haven't the clue.
And she
mate.
was the same age as Daddy, was only 6 months in the difference.
That's right.
31st of December and the 31st of May.
Yeah.
That's where she got the name Mary Jane.
Yeah. Why did she get Mary Jane when Mary was after
Because
her
the
mother?
last day
for Jane.
of May
Oh,
in
right.
June,
Oh, right.
Mary Jane.
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm learning things today, Michael, that I didn't know.
Well, it was Anastasia told me that's where she got
Right.
her name,
Right.
Mary Jane, because she was born on the last day of May.
Right. So that was the Mary and the Jones, yeah, Jane.
Mary Jane.
Because the whole...
And Daddy, God rest him, was the 31st of December.
December.
So there was only 5 months
Yeah, 5 months between.
between.
Yeah.
So he went to school down below, and he remembers going to school in the old school, by the old
Oh
hall.
yeah, this one where the car park is now.
And tell me this, was
He
there...
lived in Cooperstown, you see. They weren't that far away. We had 3 miles to go to school from Ballygarrett. We walked it.
Yeah. Tell me this, what were the other shops in the village? Because Daddy was telling me, I was trying to get my head around it, was there another little shop or a pub there where the Thatch used to be years ago?
Yeah, Bill
Yes,
Denny's.
Bill
was
Denny's.
called.
Yeah.
Yes.
Redmond's.
But that was on the opposite
was
side. That was where the hall was there too.
John and Bill Redmond was
Yeah,
their
Redmond,
names.
was it?
Yeah. They were related to J. MacDonald's mother.
All right.
Yeah, the Redmonds that lived there.
Yeah.
A little...
Thatched. The little thatched pub.
Gone now.
Gone.
Gone.
All gone. The whole lot. Macklemore and everything. Won't be returned.
Bill Dinny.
Bill Denny.
Yeah, but Bill Denny's was at the opposite side of the road.
No. Well, there was Redmonds at the opposite side, but they had the pub at the other side where the Thatch is now.
All
where the
right, because they
Macklemore
owned
is.
the Thatch as well, did they, Bill
Yeah,
Denny?
yeah, they had the pub there. Sure, all the
right.
lads used to go there for the drink, and I remember them well when they were alive.
Between
Bill and John.
Bill Denny, all right.
Between Tom Dempsey's and where Moore's was there, that's where the was it? That's where the old Bill Dinny's was it?
Yeah,
Up from
no,
Dempsey.
where the Macklemore is now was their pub,
Bill Dinny's.
right near Winnie Wafers.
Yeah.
That's where their pub was. And sure was all knocked down to build
The big place.
the big place.
Yeah.
How many more little shops were there in the village?
There was a Miss Kane as well, right beside Aidan Wafer's shop there. The 2 Miss Kanes they were called.
Oh,
and they
right.
used to do dressmaking and all back in Mrs. Connors' time. Mrs. Connors up here, Glascarrig, married to Ned. She worked in Kyo's, Jim Kyo's, with his grandfather and grandmother, and she was a Murphy, Jim Kyo's wife. The grandfather, young Jim's grandfather. He was Jim Kyo from Ballynahask in Kilmuckridge. And the lady, the Hope, owned the pub up here, she had a shop, and she used to have suit lengths and all that sort of thing. And she used to get made, and she used to, the two Miss Canes were the tailoresses that time.
Right.
And Mrs. Connors worked there when Bridie Kyo and Paddy Kyo were all children. And she was a Murphy lady, Mrs. Murphy.
And there was Murphy's over in the crosses where Hamills is in Kilmuckridge. Was that
Yes,
Murphy's?
I don't know, they could be related, but Jim
But that's
Kyo.
right, your Murphy's was over Kyo's there, wasn't it? That's
Yeah.
right.
But Jim Kyo, yeah, Murphy's there.
That's right.
Jim Kyo's grandfather came from Ballynahask in Kilmuckridge.
All right.
Yeah, because Mrs. Connors was able to tell me that.
Yeah.
She'd be looking, when she was looking after Bridie and Maury and
Yeah.
Statia and Paddy.
All
And-
right.
And the Kane sisters, were they Kane as in Sean Kane and them
I
Kanes?
don't know
Or
that.
Kanes or-
I don't know that, Michael,
Right.
because I remember them old when I was going to school from Clonavon.
Oh, yes.
They were old ladies that time.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have been that old at all, of course,
No,
that time.
it's
They were
just the way they were
dressed in the
dressed.
black, and yes.
Yeah,
And maybe a little shawl around them.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
yeah, going
Yeah.
back that time.
Yeah.
And then was there wafers beside him? Was there always wafers?
Oh, John Wafer, yeah.
Yeah,
That
but then there was Win Wafers there as
Yeah,
well.
they were all the one.
Did they have a little shop there, Win Wafers
Yeah, I
now?
think they had that years ago.
Yeah, and then
still.
poor Johnny Cullen, of course, was there.
Johnny Cullen.
He had a little shop.
No, Johnny Cullen was down below where the
Down below?
McAvoy is now.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was Johnny Collins between Tom Dempsey's and the McNamara?
Yes,
That's
Same, on the same
right.
side.
yeah, Johnny Cullen's. It was, what do you call it? The iron houses back that time. His shop was built with iron
Oh,
attached
that's right.
to these
Corrugated
house.
iron, wasn't it?
Corrugated
Yes.
iron.
That's right.
Yes.
What they used to put on the hay sheds.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, his shop
That's
was made
right.
with from that adjoining his home.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
And what was his home? Was his home a little thatched house?
A little thatched house, yeah.
Yeah.
2-story or 1-story or?
I think it was only one story.
I think so.
I don't remember them having any family. It was only himself and his wife died
Oh,
young.
Johnny was married, was he? I just
Yeah.
thought maybe he was a bachelor.
No,
So even if you think of it, you got Tom Dempsey's house is thatched.
yeah.
Then next to it, then you'd have Johnny's place
Johnny,
with thatched
yeah.
as well. Then you'd,
And
And your Bill
Redmonds.
Denny's was
Redmonds
they were all
attached as
attached
well.
that
Yeah, there
time.
was a lot of thatched
then you
houses
cross the
there.
road then to Winnie Wafers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
It
attached.
Sure, that was thatched as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
I think was Wafer's shop. That was touched as well, wasn't it?
No,
John Wafer's, was it not?
no. Where Aiden is now,
Yeah.
no, they had that big fine house that I can remember. I never remember that any
All
other
right.
way.
Yeah.
That was a fine house.
Yeah.
And then you go up May and Stacia, you go up from there, and then you go next door. There was another shop, the Canes. Then you went to
Kane's little tailoress place
Yeah.
was right beside Aiden Wafers.
Yeah.
They were joining Aiden Wafers there. Actually, it's there now where the Wish and Well is.
Yeah. Yeah.
There, Kane's was there.
Oh, so that side of it.
Yeah.
So between
Yeah.
Jaws and Wafers.
Yes.
All right.
There used to be a little
Small
door.
house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you go up then to where the kiosks, then you get the car park, then you've got the school,
Yeah.
and up to Ellie Dials then, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Were there any other houses in between or around there? Any small houses around there or little shops or anything
Not
around
that
there?
I know of, Michael.
No.
I don't know of any small houses around there.
Didn't Penders
Only
have a shop
down
years
in the
ago?
village there.
Didn't Penders have a shop years ago, I remember as a child, down the Cahor Road? Wasn't there a little shop down there?
Don't remember that.
Remember on the way down to the graveyard, the little house there on the left hand side, I remember going there as a
Don't
child.
remember that, Michael.
No.
I don't know.
Oh.
Were there any shops around Glascarrig, around this part? Little small shops in the middle of nowhere, like May Hughes' shop or anything like that?
The only thing I know about it was there was a shop over at Hughes's River. And it's at the other side of Joe Kyo's borough there. That was going back in Lar Crow's people. Lar that was living up here. Going back in his day. There was a little shop over there, and Ned Connors could tell me that.
All right.
Now, it was Hughes's.
Hughes.
Yeah, Hughes's had a shop over there.
Well, you see, that time you could start a little shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because remember poor May, there was a house over there in Ballygarrett named Wafers. They had a little shop.
Yes.
And when they closed down, then May Hughes
Took
down
over.
in her
Yeah.
little room.
Yeah.
She had a shop there for a long, long time, May and me.
I remember as a child going to May Hughes' shop. as
Yes, yes. And she had sweets and she had everything there
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
things that you'd want, bread and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And there was no such thing as having to start up with the governments or anything. You didn't
No,
have license or nothing.
No.
You could just start it up yourself.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah,
And they started over there and sure the shop that time because I say Horgans weren't, it was a guest house I think, and Horgans weren't into the shop, do you know what I mean? And back those years that they started the shop.
What shop was this? May Hughes'
This
shop?
is the shop that was over at Hughes's River.
Hughes'
Between-
River.
where's Hughes's River you're talking about, May?
Hughes's River is
Over-
between
Over
Joe
Joe
Kyo's borough there and Sinnett's borough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Black Lar lived over there as well, which was, Black Lar was Lar Crow.
Yeah.
Another, there
Of course,
was
they had to
a
have
load
different.
of crows.
There was Black
over
Lar, I suppose, and White Lar. And
Yeah, they called him Black Lar because he there was so many of them.
yeah, and he had the dark hair, I suppose.
Yes,
Maybe the other
he
lad had the
was.
ginger.
He was
They'd be red passing.
He was very
white
black
passing.
because I remember him when I come to live here. Yeah.
God, you wouldn't get too much business over in that spot, would you?
Well, you wouldn't the summertime with people on holidays.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there was an awful lot of people came on holidays. Like poor Jerry Hardyman, God rest me, his memory card is there. He came here in a child and he always loved Glascarrig.
Yeah.
And Jimmy was his best buddy.
Yeah,
And he only died there last September.
yeah. And
And
he still come back and he has his house up the road here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he loved Kyoho. He came every year as a baby with his mammy to Kyoho, to the Red Row down there.
All right.
Or the road they call it.
Yeah.
Where Andrew Kavanagh was born down there.
Yeah.
The Red Row.
Well, I think the Red Row was down in
In Courtown.
Courtown.
Yeah,
But
that's right.
that's
The Red
called
Row.
the Row
The
down
Row.
there. There
Yeah.
was 4 houses together and they're still there.
That's
Florence
right.
Kavanagh's in one now.
Yeah.
And Andrew Kavanagh's is the other. And then you have John Loughlin as well, but there was 4 houses there.
That's
And I
another,
don't know who was in there.
you mentioned that there, that's another Florence. There's 2 Florences around, was there?
Florence is a Dublin woman. She was Florence Reen. She was married to Andy Kavanagh that died.
That was it.
Yeah,
Wasn't a local
Yeah.
Florence,
yeah. She would be Arthur and Thomas's mother.
Okay. She was a Dublin woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. She was a ring and they have a house, her parents had a house down there right opposite where the car park is now there to corners you're going over to Kyoho.
Did you remember Master Ennis? Was there a house down in the
I
Cohora
knew
Road?
where Ennis's lived.
Yeah.
They lived over in the Hermitage where Morris Keneally is now
That's where they lived.
because Agnes and Morris lived there because her aunt was married to J. Ennis, I think his name was. I don't know where the man came from, but that was Ennis's over there, and I went to school with some of the lads, 2 lads there was. I went to school with 2 of them.
Did you ever hear that there was, I won't keep it so much longer, that there was a hedge school where they used to go to school down in the Quarry Road there across from down by the graveyard? Did you ever hear that years ago?
No.
no.
No. Was there a graveyard down in Glascarrig South? I'm Glascarrig North now, but that was Glascarrig South because when I came to live here, any letters that had come would be Glascarrig North. And Jimmy Crow down there be Glascarrig South, where they had the hurling fields and all down there.
And they were the hurling fields there across from Jimmy Crow's where they used to play hurling.
One there, and then they had one up from Jimmy Crow's.
And Master Dunn's house was there, was that it?
Yeah, Master Dunn lived there, and that house that Philip Bulger lived in it before Master Dunn lived in it.
All right.
Remember Philip Bulger stable?
Stable, yeah.
And Maggie Roach?
Yeah.
They lived there, opposite Jimmy Crow's now.
The piers are still there,
I
aren't
thought
they?
they were in stable over.
They were over in stable Statia, but they
that
went
was
to
in
live
first
there.
years.
Yeah,
they
and
come
the
down.
big place got too big for them. They went to this house
All right.
opposite Jimmy Crow's there.
All right.
And sure, that's not there anymore, but Master Dunn and Mrs. Dunn lived there. When they left Bruce, they were in Bruce and they came to Glascarrig. And they were nearer to school then.
Were they related to Pat Dunn and Jack Dunn and all them?
Grandfather and grandmother, Pat St. John's.
Were they?
Yeah,
That's what we were. No,
yeah,
Yeah. Good Lord.
yeah.
I could talk to you for hours, but you're probably
And
getting tired.
Nancy Handley was reared in the house where Paddy Crow is living now.
Arthur Hanley.
Arthur Handley.
And who was Nancy Hanley?
Nancy was his sister and was married to Lar Crow
Oh,
up
right.
here. Yeah. Yeah, Arthur was a great hurling man too, sure. back
Sure,
in
poor,
time.
poor Arthur, I suppose, is in that picture.
No,
is
he's
he
not. No,
No.
no.
And tell me this as well. You were saying I won't keep you because I don't keep you too long. But even around, I'm interested in music. Who were the musicians around here? Who would play? Who were the box players or the singers or was there fiddle players around Ballygarrett at all? Do you remember?
I don't remember any fiddle players around Ballygarrett. I remember the Clonevin Cayley band, and Lark Cardiff was a drummer on that, and Dan Whelan over from Clonganny. And
Mick's father.
Mick's father. And I can't remember the rest of them.
Well, sure, I mean, your
And Uncle Ned.
Uncle Ned.
Uncle Ned
Brother
was
of our
a fiddle
grandmother's. He
player.
would have been a great fiddle player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to play in the old schoolhouse.
And then Jack Perk used to play the accordion.
Yeah,
He lived there in Patsy Bulger's house.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, not Patsy
Was it
Bulger's.
not?
Mick Rat's house.
Oh, Mick
That was
Rath's
their
house.
house.
Yeah.
Sarah Quirk was his mother.
Oh,
yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
What was the man, the fiddle player's name? What was his name again?
Who?
Your own relation.
Oh, our grand uncle was Ned Doyle, the fiddle player, and his brother won the All Ireland in Dublin for fiddle playing.
What was his name?
Johnny.
Johnny.
Joe. They were
Then being
them.
brothers and my mothers.
Yeah, our grannies.
Our granny, not
Yeah,
mother.
yeah. They were from Ballinamona. Our granny was a Doyle of Ballyopter.
Yeah.
Do you know Tom Doyle's Ballyopter? Well, that's where our granny came from, in Ballyopter.
Yeah.
And these were her brothers, Johnny and Ned.
Johnny Doyle lived out where Joe Rath lives there in Ballykinewell.
Down in Ballinamona.
Down in
Ballinamona,
Ballinamona.
yeah. Down the lane though,
Yeah.
was their home place.
A fiddle player.
A fiddle player, 2 fiddle players.
Yeah.
Yeah. But our Uncle Ned, our granduncle Ned, Johnny's brother, was manager of Hill Shop in Ballykinewell.
Hills had a shop there in front of the post office. The post office was there as you went
Yeah.
into the street as well.
Yeah. Henry Tompkins.
Then Roaches owned that shop.
Yeah.
They were the,
Roaches
it's not a
bought-
shop at all now anyway.
Roaches
as you go into
bought
the village.
Hill Shop,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Yeah.
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 When Frank and them all left it.
And the Clonevin Cayley band.
Yeah.
The
That'd be the same one you used to have, the Clonevin Cayley band. That came first, and then it was the Cayley band before that, there was no name on it. It wasn't until later on there was the Clonedon Cayley band.
The Clonedon Cayley. And when were they knocking around? The 50s or the 60s?
Oh God, I was only a child, Michael. We were only children.
We've been only in the 40s.
40s.
Yeah, and that time Derek Earl asked me one time, a long time ago, God, made you ever dance here? God saw you surely didn't, Derek, you wasn't allowed.
You were
In
too
any
young,
case,
of course.
I was only 6
Yeah.
at the time. 6 or 7, you'd be only going to start in school.
Yeah.
When were you born? What was your date of birth? When were you born?
I was born the 18th of December 1933.
Yourself? What
Yeah.
was Statia?
I was born the 1st of March 1939.
39.
Because I started the war the year that I was born. That's why I always did.
And it was the Clonedon Cayley band. And who was in that? Matt Cardiff?
No, Lar Cardiff.
Lar Cardiff.
Lar Cardiff.
Dan Whalen.
And Dan Whalen. And I can't
Jack
remember.
Quirk.
Jack Quirk was in over in England station.
Oh, was he?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
he
right.
was in the last war.
Oh, right.
Jack Quirk.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd only come home and leave.
Did he have a brother? No.
Jimmy Curran, half brothers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jimmy Curran.
Yeah.
Was his
Sarah would have been
half-
the mother's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where would they play? Where would a band like that play? At the harvest dances or people's homes or where would it
No, they just got together.
Yeah.
Michael him form a band.
Yeah.
Like, just meet up and
Have an
Uncle
accordion
Ned.
player and a fiddle player and
And Uncle
maybe a
Ned would
mouth
play
organ.
with him. Yeah,
Yeah. And, just get
and a
together.
drummer.
And a drummer. Yeah.
Did you remember the Ballynowler pipe band?
Oh, I don't.
You don't.
Oh, there was a pipe band in Ballynowler, wasn't there?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I never
Going
heard
back
of
in
them.
time. as
Back in
well.
the 1930s.
All right.
Yeah.
That was before I was born, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah. And come here to me. I'm gonna end this now. I'll come back another time, please. Can I come back another time, maybe?
Oh,
Sometime.
God, you're
Don't worry.
welcome anytime.
What will you, is there near a song that you sing at all? Is there?
Oh, I can't sing anymore.
You're not singing
I'm
anymore?
on inhalers, Michael.
Yeah.
I lost the voice altogether. I'd sing a few lines and then the voice would go.
Will you sing me a line of one song that you just sing as a child?
Which one did you sing when you were a child,
I was
Mary?
singing-
I don't remember what song I used to sing. I
Did you
used to
sing
hum
any-
bits of you.
Did you sing any songs like the Powell Show and Fishermen or Do You Reckon,
Don't
Do You
know
Lies
them.
or any of them old songs?
No,
What songs did you like at all or listen to?
I don't remember now.
The old fashioned
What
songs. Any of the old fashioned songs?
You
were there?
know any of them, Statia?
God, I don't remember that far back there.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Any of the songs like the Pomona or any of those kind of songs?
You
or-
couldn't
No.
even think of the ones that... Well,
Yeah,
there's no
I went-
radios now, not at that time either.
No. I want poor Jimmy, God rest him, here now,
Yes,
because he'd be good at that.
He'd remember him.
Yeah, well, he'd remember songs back long ago.
Yeah.
And there used to be songs, but they can't come to me memory. I used to learn them from me on station. Maybe be out walking to Ballyduff or something.
All right.
And
Yeah.
we sing a song,
Yeah.
which for the life of me now I can't think of it.
Yeah.
Can't think of it, Michael.
That's no bother.
I was always into
But I
dancing.
remember the one Anastasia used to sing, what's this was? I used to oversleep myself each
That's
morn.
right, you remember
I
that
never
now.
got up early since the day that I was born. Till one week I struck a fine idea. Went to the market and it does sound queer. I bought a lovely rooster, the kind that doesn't lay. I brought it home with me and now I'm pleased to say every morning, everything is quite alright. I don't need a knocker up, I don't need a clock. For underneath the bed I pop the old game cock. Every morning, I never oversleep, 'tis true. For out I go when the cock begins to crow. Cock, cock, cock-a-doodle-doo. I thought me rooster led a lonely life, so I went and bought a hen and made them man and wife. Each night she sleeps in the baby's cot, sits on a water bottle nice and hot. And when I make me breakfast, then she'll show a leg. For underneath the bottle there's a nice poached egg. Every morning, every morning, everything is quite all right. I don't need a knocker up, I don't need a clock. For underneath the bed I pop the old game cock. Every morning, every morning, I never oversleep, 'tis true. For out I go when the cock begins to crow. Cock, cock, cock-a-doodle-doo. Now all your ladies who have just got wed, if you've got a husband that you can't get out of bed, take my tip and you will soon rejoice. Just buy a rooster with a tenor voice. For when he starts his love song, he'll get up quick, I bet. Learn this chorus now so that you won't forget. Every morning, every morning, everything is quite all right. I don't need a knocker up, I don't need a clock. For underneath the bed I pop the old game cock. Every morning, every morning, everything is quite all right. For out I go when the cock begins to crow. Cock, cock, cock-a-doodle-doo.
Good girl for thinking of
I
that.
just thought that on Statia used to sing it. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
You've never heard that one before, Michael?
Jack Connors used to love that song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. I just thought of it there now. I thought on
Good girl.
Statia singing
Oh,
it.
you have a good memory.
Yeah.
You have a good memory
So
for
that's not
Mama.
one you'd hear on RTE now.
Oh, yes.
Da